Here are your example problems for 9-4. 9-4 is descriptive statistics. First of all, let's talk about measures of center and variability. Data with one variable, such as test scores, are called univariate data. Remember, when we talk about something that can be graphed like this, we're talking about bivariate data. For example, we might have dollars on this axis and hours on this axis, so we would be graphing dollars per hour that somebody made. That would be bivariate data, bivariate, and this is univariate. We all understand that uni is 1 and bi is 2. So this is one variable. These data can be described by a measure of center. So this is something I'm confident that you are pretty familiar with, so we're going to move fairly fast here. So we'll talk about 4 things here in regard to univariate data and measures of center. Number 1, the ages in years of the people seated in one row of a movie theater are 16, 15, etc. There's the ages. And they want you to find the mean, median, mode, and range of the data set. So you all know that the mean is another way of saying average. We use that word quite often. We take all of the ages, we add them up, which in this case is 212, and then we count how many there were. There were 8 people, so we take 212 divided by 8, and we would say that the average age of those people is 26.5. So remember, in math, it's just we change the word to mean. The mean of the data, we would say, is 26 5/10. The next thing we would look at is median. Well, in the median, the first thing you need to do is take all the values and put them in order least to greatest, like it says right here. And then you look for the center of the data. If you have, in this case, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces of data. If you have an even number of data, then you're going to find the center in between 2 numbers. If there was one more piece of data, for example, then 24 would be the middle. We would have 4 to the left and 4 to the right. But in this case, it falls between the 2. So we have to find out what falls halfway between 19 and 24, and the way to do that is to add 19 plus 24 and then divide that by 2, and halfway between 19 and 24 is 21 5/10. So that would be our median, 21 5/10. Next, they want us to find the mode. The mode is 19 since it is the number that occurs the most often. Remember, mode is about most often, median is about middle, and then of course the range is from the lowest value, 15, to the highest value, and the way to do that is to subtract. One more thing about the mode, just to refresh for you: if none of the values occurs more than once, then we say there is no mode. If 2 values, for example, occur 3 times each, and that is the most, then we would have 2 modes in that case. So you can have multiple modes, you can have a 0 mode, or you can have 1 mode. It's the one that occurs the most often. Please press pause and do letter A. One really quick hint here: a great way to do these problems in order to make sure you don't miss a number and that you get them in order from least to greatest is to open up a Microsoft Excel sheet, type in each of the numbers in a column, make a column of values like this, okay, in your Excel sheet. Put, let's say, 66 in, then put 72 in, then put 70 in, etc. Put all the values in, and then if you just highlight them and order them and do a sort from least to greatest, it'll put them all in order for you. And by the way, another thing you could do is down at the bottom of that data, you could use the sum feature in Microsoft Excel, and it would add them all up for you. Microsoft Excel is a great way to do mean, median, mode, and range. Now let's talk about 5-number summary. Again, this is something I'm quite certain you're familiar with, but we'll review it all. Quantitative data are data that can be measured. We can set a measurement for it. A set of quantitative data can be divided into 4 equal parts called quartiles. Make sure you put all of these things in your notes, even things like quartile. If it's not part of your vocabulary, if you don't really remember that, you might want to remind yourself of that in your notes. So what we do, and again, Microsoft Excel would be great for doing this, is you order the data, whatever data you are given, you order them from least to greatest. You put in all data pieces, And basically what we're looking at here is the lower half, the upper half are split by the median. In this case, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and another 7, so we have 14 pieces of data. It's an even number, therefore our median falls in between these two numbers here, so our median, of course, would be 37. And then we have the same number of pieces of data to the left as to the right, so now we take a look at that set of data from 24 to 36, and remember we had 7, so the fourth piece of data would be the middle, and that becomes the median of the data values less than the median of the data values less than the median, the total median we're talking about. So the middle of the lower half is called the first quartile, or Q1. So make sure you understand that that would be the Q1, this would be the median of the data, and of course this would be Q3, or the third quartile. So now to take that 5-number summary to the next step, we do this. The 5-number summary, which includes the minimum value, okay, so you would have a minimum value, your lowest, then your first quartile, that's the middle of the lower half of the data, then the median, that's the very middle of the data, the third quartile, which is the middle of the upper half of the data, and then of course the maximum value, which would be the highest value of the data set. All of that stuff provides a numerical way of characterizing a set of data. The 5-number summary can be described visually with a box plot. And again, I'm sure you understand a box plot. You may have heard of it called a box and whisker before. So basically all we do is we have all those individual numbers. 24 was the lowest value, so we put a point there. Then we had a first quartile value of 31, so that goes right here. We had a median of the data of 37, that's that point there. And then we had, I believe it was 45 for the third quartile, and our highest value was 54. And then we just draw lines from the first. This is our left whisker. Then we draw a box around, let's do this right on here. First whisker, left whisker we could call it. And then here is our box around the median. This right here is the median. This is the first quartile, second quartile, and then this whisker goes out to the maximum value. The one thing they don't include here that you might see in data, if you had a piece of data, let's say 300 way out here, we had a point, we would call that an outlier, and we would not draw the whisker all the way to that. Okay, let's take a look at example 2. The data for daily average temperatures for 15 days in May are shown in the table. So here's all our data here. Again, great way to put this in nice, easy order would be to put it into Microsoft Excel quickly, especially when you have a lot of values to do. Find the 5-number summary of the data. So the first thing we need to do is arrange it in order, which they've done for you here. And then we find the middle, well, we would count them all up. We would have one, actually the easiest way to count it is right here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 3, so we have 15 numbers. That means 8 would be our middle value, our median. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This becomes the median. That leaves 7 values to the left, 7 values to the right, and the middle of 7 would be 4. So the first quartile number would be 71, the third quartile is 75, our low value is 68, our high value is 76. So now we can take those numbers and we need to put them in a box plot. So we need to draw a number line that includes all of the value, the range of the data, from the lowest minimum to the highest maximum. So from 66 to 78 we draw a number line. Additionally, we need to mark the minimum, maximum values, the median, the first quartile, and the third quartile. So we have to put a point at 68, this is our minimum. We have to put 71, we have to put a point there, that's the first quartile. Our median is 74, we have a point there. Our third quartile is 75, and our maximum is 76. So we have these 5 points plotted. The next thing we need to do is draw the box plot and assign a title to the graph. So first of all, we'll title it daily temperatures. That's what we're showing here. We draw a line. I'm going to do it up above so that you can see it also below. The first thing we would do is draw a line from the minimum value to the first quartile. Draw a box around the center of the data, which would be from the first quartile to the third quartile. Draw a vertical line representing the median, and then draw your right whisker, which is from your third quartile to your maximum. So notice you can look at this box plot here. For those of you that are wondering why would we bother to do all this, you can look at this box plot and you can see that the middle of the data right here is skewed to the right. There's more data right here than there is, there's actually the same amount of data here, but it's more closely packed than this part of the data, which this is the left half of the data, and this is the right half of the data, much more compact on the right. And we would say that the data is skewed, here's the word, skewed to the right. Please press pause and do letter B.